It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
One just has to pick up a magazine or turn on a television to see that we, as women, are bombarded daily with media images of female physical perfection, leaving us with the most unrealistic of expectations as to how we should look. No wonder female body confidence is falling, while incidents of eating disorders are on the rise. What's most alarming is the way this affects young girls. A reduced sense of self-worth can create anxiety, stress, even depression, causing relationship issues while potentially impairing an academic and job performance. In direct contrast, Confidence in Bloom is designed to send the opposite message to any woman of any age, shape, or background who has ever felt inadequate, unworthy, or tossed aside because of how she looks. You matter. You are enough now. I, Tina Spolatini, a woman of substance, insist women deserve to be happy, confident, successful, not to mention so totally in love with themselves in their own bodies just the way they are. Through an ongoing series of intriguing conversations with women from all walks of life who are all extraordinary in their own right, I will take us on a journey from ultimate self-acceptance and empowerment. Together, we'll share the stories, laugh, learn, maybe even shed a few tears when you realize how far many women have come to realize just how wonderful life is when you stand in your own power, feeling fantastic in your own skin. Today, I'm speaking with Marlene Markle. Marlene is the creator and leader of the highly successful Heart of Networking organization. She describes herself as a connector of people and a creator of opportunities. One of her greatest joys is to facilitate the connections that business owners need to move their business forward. Virtual Heart of Networking events are held monthly, as are special training opportunities at a monthly Next Level workshop. Unique quarterly in-person events round out the calendar. She has been an entrepreneur for her entire life. So Marlene speaks from firsthand experience. Helping others succeed is her passion. Whether it is through networking connections, educating, or creating a spotlight, all members are given opportunities to shine. Welcome, Marlene.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit more about your Connector of People and Creator of Opportunities title.
Well, I realize that is truly what brings me joy, to be able to help other women, people, but women in particular, to make that connection, not necessarily their next sale, but the connection that leads them to a higher level of success. And to me, that's really very rewarding. And sometimes that does mean creating a space for them to actually make those connections.
Right. And when you say, like, you're not necessarily for the next sale, but it could be just moving their business forward. And that doesn't always mean money-wise.
That's right. And sometimes it means finding a team member. Maybe they need a new bookkeeper or a new social media expert or, some sort of marketing guru in their business. So it's different for everybody. Everybody's at a different point on their journey. And, everybody's looking for something or somebody, and if I can help them to find that connection, then I feel like I've done my job.
I love that. I remember I used to work for the TD Bank like a million years ago, really. But they came up with new position titles, and the number one, like the receptionist, was now called a greeter. And I remember thinking that would be the best job in the entire world, because you have to know everyone in the bank. You have to know what everyone does, and you need to know, like, when the customer comes into the bank, you need to know who they need to talk to and why. right? So it's like you have a knowledge of everything. And that's kind of what your job is.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, there's definitely a comparison. And I've been involved in the business community for a long time, so I have developed a lot of connections, and it might not even be a, point A to point B. It might be that one of my connection knows the correct connection. So it's there's always that ripple effect, and knowing other connectors helps as well.
Right. And you must end your days, like almost every day, feeling so empowered, knowing knowing that you've been able to create that relationship. I know this person, so you need to meet this person. Like, that must give you so much pride.
Oh, it truly does. And when I see that something has developed or something has happened, or maybe two women are collaborating on some sort of event or something, it really is that little piece, that little part that I played in putting those two together. It really is rewarding. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's empowering to empower others.
Thing is, lots of people, especially like women just starting out entrepreneurship, they don't know how to make the connections, or they know how to make them, but they're not sure how to really the whole concept of it. And so having someone like you in their life is a huge, huge tool in their pocket, because they know that if I don't know what questions to ask, Marlene can help me. Absolutely. And it's, in the very beginning, they don't know what they don't know yet. And it can be overwhelming for a brand new business owner. So just helping them sort of take it step by step is usually the best route to take. Right. And then you help them, like you have your next level workshop, and that sort of, I would assume that it helps like a new business leader learn what those steps are.
Well, yes, and both new and seasoned, because it's always one of our members that is the trainer for the workshop, because we have a ton of talent within our organization, and it's always a business skill of some sort. So if they're brand new, it might be all new to them. If they're seasoned, they might hear something that they say, gee, I used to do that. Why did I stop? Or it could be that they hear something that they can just tweak it a little bit and make it work for their business. So the goal is that it's valued for everyone, no matter what stage of their business they're at. And yes, particularly for new business owners.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure there's, when it comes to running a business, you have to stay on the up and up, right? There's always something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And especially in the area of marketing, trends change, social media changes all the time. Now we have AI to consider. There's a lot. Yeah.
So you must have lots of people under your tool belt there that can help you with this AI stuff. It's new, right? So we all have to learn it, and it's kind of a scary topic.
It is, and it's one I don't feel we can ignore. Whether we like it or not, it's here, and so learning to use it to our advantage, and use it, ethically and responsibly, is just something that we're going to have to learn to go forward. And there's resistance to that. I have to say I was a little bit hesitant, because I'm a real people person, and when it comes to that sort of thing, I think, maybe, do we really need that? Well, it doesn't matter if we really need it or not. Like I say, it's here. So I've been taking some classes and workshops myself to get more familiar with aspects of it. It's a big topic.
It is. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you have, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect every single person on the earth.
Yes, Yeah. And it's up to us how, to educate ourselves and really not to be afraid of it, but to embrace it and learn how to use it as a tool that is effective for us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to imagine, what your networking meetings would look like. I'm sure they consist of businesses of all types.
Yes, that's absolutely true. We have a full range of business models. We have a range of, business longevity. And we base all events on 3 pillars. So there's connection, education, and opportunity. And the connection we've talked about a little bit, and that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But we always have the educational component in it as well. And again, we use our members as the experts. We use them as the speakers because my job as a leader of the group is to give our members a spotlight every chance that I can fit in. So we do have we typically have 2 to 3 speakers doing their part, and in between we do breakout rooms where we will have up to 8 people in each room, and generally they introduce themselves and then comment on a topic relating to the speaker that they've just heard. And then you get to know people in a smaller, more intimate circle. Now, I also say that especially with virtual networking, it's what happens between the meetings that's just as important as what happens at the meetings. So I try to coach people to, if there's anything they hear in the circles or from one of the speaker that intrigues them, or that just something that they want to follow up on, to make sure that you do that right away and choose 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever your goal is, people from that event, and reach out to them and, maybe set up a time for a Zoom coffee or an in-person if that works. And really get to know the members on a deeper level, and that in return then sets them up for referrals. Because if I truly know what you do in your business, and not only what you do, but why you do it, and what gets you up in the morning, and what fuels your fire, then I know who to recommend when that topic comes up.
Right. That. So that to me, intrigues me, right? Knowing all these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit, so I can't really decide if I'm an introvert or an extrovert. I love to chat. I love to meet new people, but I don't necessarily share my deepest thoughts and feelings, right? It doesn't come naturally for me. So I'm going to assume that there are other people like me, right? I'd like to think I'm unique, but the reality is, there's only 2 kinds of people in the world. There's introverts and there's extroverts, right? So I'm just wondering if there's going to be, you're going to have in your meetings introverts, extroverts, right?
Yes.
Do the extroverts generally like to take over the conversation, or is it more of a controlled environment?
Well, the online is pretty well controlled because the virtual meetings, because they're given a time limit, and we also do some teaching. We do a session every 2 or 3 months on maximize your membership, and that's actually one of the things that I teach in that workshop, is to remember that there are all types of personalities. And one of the best things a business owner can do is study personality types to really understand. I mean, you have to meet people where they're at. And that can be a danger for an extrovert because they may, come in like gangbusters and almost steamroll the poor introvert, right? Now, introverts have amazing qualities, And an introvert is an excellent listener, for example. And that's one of the best things you can do when you're networking, because it helps to open the door to developing a strong relationship. So, it's hard for introverts to step out of their, step into that, and they have to really push themselves, but with the understanding that by taking that step, it will open doors for them. You can't be the best kept secret in your industry. It just isn't going to get you anywhere. So it's really, putting on your big girl panties and going out and asking those questions and talking to people. And then for the extroverts, it really sometimes is tempering and pulling that back and really having to, zip the lip and listen. They can take lessons from the introverts. So it's, I do, I have a talk that I do sometimes, and it's about the steamroller and the wallflower. And neither one is a good approach to networking. If they can meet somewhere in the middle, that's where we all want to be. We don't want to be steamrolled. We don't want to, have to be picking up and pulling out the wallflower and, sort of propping her up all the time. We want everybody to be somewhere in between where they truly care about others, where they will take the time to learn whether or not there's a need for whatever it is they have, product or service. And I also say that the cardinal sin of networking is giving unsolicited advice. And so that would probably come from an extrovert. It probably would never come from an introvert.
Because they don't like, so introverts generally, they keep their words to a minimum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and they can be intimidated by a larger group too. But I think if they just remember that, keep in mind, you are the expert in your business. You are you're as best you can be, and you know more about your business than the other people in the room. And you're probably only going to be talking to one or two of them at a time. So don't think that, oh my gosh, there's 50 people in that room, say in a live networking event. I don't even know. I don't know if I can even gather the gumption to walk in the room, and yet in the room. But you're not talking to all 50 at once. In fact, you probably won't even meet all 50 that day, but you'll meet a few, and it's a really good networking trait if you can, when you're at those events, if you can keep an eye out for the introvert and sort of help her out, give her an introduction to someone that and kind of guide her to help getting started. I think that's a responsibility of seasoned networkers.
Yeah, I could see that. And the thing is, like, not all extroverts are the same, right? Like, we're not, like, I've heard somewhere that there's like another word for like the combination of the two. Like, I love to chat, but if I walk into a room that I don't know anybody, I'll strike up a conversation, but I'm not going to be loud and, okay, everybody, you need to know I'm here. That's right. Not who I am, you know, but I'll sit down in my little corner, I'll stay there, and I'll chat to the people around me.
Right.
I'm not one that, has to have the whole world hear me.
Right. Yeah. And I think the very basic definition that I understand the best is when you're with a lot of people like that, maybe you've been to an event, and it could be online or in person, does that energy of being in that room, does it fuel you or does it drain you? Because if you're an introvert, being among that, sort of in that high energy group setting can be draining, and they just need to go home and chill. And an extrovert will be energized by that situation, and they'll go home and they'll be ready to jump into their office and make some phone calls, or go out and meet somebody else. So I think that's a good way to determine which side of the fence you fall on.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense, right? Like I know for myself, people energize me when I'm around people, conversing and chatting and giggling and whatever else we're doing, that energizes me. I mean, it exhausts me because I do get tired, but not that I want to go hide in a corner. Like, not that they want to hide, but, like, it gives me energy. It gives me motivation. It inspires me.
Yeah.
Whereas I know with introverts,
I'm like you.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, I need to go home now. I need to go home. I need to, shut the music off, shut the TV off. I need to go sit in silence for a little bit.
Yeah. That's yes. And it isn't about being right or wrong. It's just your innate personality, and then learning strategies to work with it, whether you're introvert or extrovert.
Right. Exactly. And so you're in your position then, like, you don't really do you do in-person events? We do. Right now, the plan is 4 times a year. One of our in-person, we just had one yesterday. We did a picnic in the park, so very informal, and they absolutely loved it. It's the third one we've done, and it's just a once or twice a year thing, and so everybody we kind of went around and did our introductions, and then everybody just started making the rounds, because there were people there that were there for the very first time. There were people that are longtime members. And so it was a really nice balance and a great, nice informal setting. So nobody felt like they were on the spot and had to, do something magnificent. They could just be themselves and chat. I love that, picnic in the park.
Yeah.
And you're talking, and then, because everyone is also feeling super relaxed, and, they're just chatting about their business and yet making contacts in the meantime. I love that. I would think, as, when they're doing that, like their communication needs to be pretty clear with their communication. They have to have good communication skills.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of like a course or anything that helps with some women that maybe are not sure about their communication, or how they communicate what their business is? Because sometimes it sounds like it can be difficult.
It can be. I think creating a clear message is really important, because we all know that confused people do nothing. So if you have a clear message of what it is that you offer and who you serve, it just makes it easier to develop that relationship. No, people aren't, sort of wondering, well, what does she really mean by that? So that's something that, and again, we have members that work on that with people. That's their job. They're writers, they're creators, they're wordsmiths. And they can help with that, creating that message, and that's kind of a first step for communication. It's the listening skills, of course, that also help with that. But asking questions of other people, which is also a good tactic for introverts, because they don't have to talk about themselves. Extroverts love to talk about themselves, so you can ask them questions about what they do, and then you get to know them on a deeper level. It makes people feel important when you're asking them questions and giving them the spotlight, and everybody likes to feel important. So I think that's an important piece of communication. And again, going back to what I said about what happens between the meetings as much as at the meeting, sometimes it's a good idea just to reach out and say hello for no reason. You're not asking anything of them. You just want them to know that you're thinking about them, and that helps. Then the next time you see them at an event, they feel like, oh, she cares about me because she reached out and said, how you doing today? Or maybe she said something about her family. Maybe somebody's graduating or something, there's a wedding coming up. And if she remembers that and then just checks in and goes, oh, how was the wedding? It was so great. It didn't rain that day, blah, blah, blah.
I love that. I like to do that too. Sometimes I feel like, maybe I shouldn't do that because they might think that I'm prying or, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I was thinking about them and that should be enough, right? Like, I'm just going to let them know. Yeah, I love that. I really like that.
And when as an entrepreneur, sorry, Tina, as an entrepreneur, we really cannot separate out our business and our personal life. It's all intertwined. So I don't see that as prying. I mean, people will give you as much information as they want to give you. Some will give you more than you wanted to hear. But you can, I don't think you need to worry about prying because, at the end of the day, our life is our business and our business is our life.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, when you're at an event like you picnic in the park or any of your other networking, you talk personal too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I often will ask, the lady sitting beside me, do you have kids? How many do you have? How old are they? That kind of stuff. And you're going to ask personal questions. So I think when you bring your personal life into it, it also makes that like that bond between you and that person to create that relationship, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think, you are your brand. So it is, your lifestyle, your life. When you look at companies where there's an umbrella company, whether it's a financial advisor under an umbrella or a realtor or a direct sales, in skincare or whatever, people can get that product or that service in many different places. And it's not so much the brand they're buying as it is you. So the more they know about you and the more they can relate to you, then the stronger that relationship becomes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in the end, not everyone is good at asking, questions as far as like to build a relationship. Like some people, they put too much thought behind it, right? They want to build a relationship, but they don't really know the right answers or the right questions to ask, right? Whereas if you just go in kind of relaxed and, you ask basic questions and that's how it gets started.
And just being authentic and genuine, that relaxes everyone. It's a no judgment zone. It's we're all in this together is the culture that we've developed, and nobody's above anybody else, nobody's below anybody else. We're all out there trying and doing our best, and when we go into a conversation with that attitude, magical things happen.
Right. Absolutely. I have to agree. It's just a blessing to have that group. And if you go into that group with that open mind and the willingness to be non-judgmental, non-critical, and to just be yourself, you're opening up many, many doors for yourself.
Absolutely. And I also add to be generous with your time and your expertise as well. I don't say give away the farm, but if you can offer some solution to a problem that they're telling you about, or it would be different in every conversation, but if you can help them in any way, you become a memorable part of their day. And we all know about the know, like, and trust factor, and those three things are very important. But I add to that know, like, trust, and remember.
Ah, right.
Because you do want to be remembered. There are certain, especially in certain industries, let's take a mortgage agent, for example. Not everybody needs a mortgage agent today. It might be 4 years, might be 10 years before you need a mortgage agent, but you want to be remembered as that person who helped them in some way, because a lot happens in that 5 years. They meet a lot of other mortgage agents in that 5 years, so you need to keep that relationship going and keep it strong so that when the need arises, you're top of mind.
That's right. Exactly. And the thing is, you might not ever need a mortgage ever again if you win the lottery tomorrow, right?
That's true.
Right. But your neighbor might, right? Your neighbor might need a mortgage broker, or, your son or your daughter. Like, you never know, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It's a relationship that you need to build and keep, and it has to be a good relationship. So, if you're willing to give that the work, then I agree.
Yeah.
I love it. So, talking business, I could probably talk all day.
I think we could.
And then especially because you know a lot of people. There's a lot of people that and you're seeing regularly. What would be one advice that you would give to a woman, one of our listeners, that is thinking about starting a business or has just started a business and doesn't really know where to go next?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes pride keeps us from asking, and sometimes we think we should be able to figure it out on our own. None of us have figured it out on our own. We've all had help. And I think that's the basis for everything, is get different perspectives on what it is you want to do and how you want to get there. And it might be in many areas. I know in our area there's a business advisory center, and if there's anything like that in your area, look them up, because a lot of their information and guidance is actually at no charge, because they're government funded. But just don't be afraid to say, I'm new at this, because we all were new at this at one time, and we can all relate to that. And then asking for help, and when you can, learn to delegate the parts of your business that aren't your favorite parts, that you're maybe you're slower at doing, maybe takes more of your time than it should. I'll use bookkeeping as an example. I know that was one of the first things that I wanted to hand off to someone else, because they were just way more efficient. And I know that, things were falling between the cracks when I was doing it, because I didn't like doing it. I put it off, I procrastinated, and, it is somebody else's expertise. So recognize that there are other people out there that know things that you don't know, and that can help you to get started. And sometimes, yes, it costs you a little. You have to invest in your business, but then that frees up your time to do the things you're really good at. It might be prospecting for customers. It might be networking. It might be, a variety of different things. It might be producing the actual product. But, don't feel like you have to do it all yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I
love that. I really love that. Yeah, asking for help is a big one, especially for women, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. Thank you so much for joining me today, Marlene. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, it was great. I was going to ask you one more thing. Oh, it totally left my brain. Oh, I hate when that happens. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I guess we'll call that an end.
Okay.
It was great having you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Confidence in Bloom is a celebration of self-love, a confirmation that you're an amazing, desirable, brilliant, gorgeous, talented woman, even though you may not look like a screen star or a supermodel. The truth is, they don't even look like that. We offer unconditional love to our partners, our children, our extended family, even our pets. It's high time we got out of our own way and learned to unconditionally love ourselves. Chic definitely does come in every shape, so if you want something to believe in, start with yourself. If you'd like to be a guest here on Confidence in Bloom and chat with me, contact me through Instagram at infobloomstyling, or by email at tina@infobloomstyling.com, or through the Divas That Care website.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.